A secret soldier known only as JP has recently had full recall of missions that he was involved in as a U.S. Army soldier who worked within the secret space program. He spoke about many of his experiences for the first time in public, and I am so thankful to bring this new intel to you in this video. JP was presented by Dr. Michael Sala, who has additional information, and his webpage will be linked in the description. On August 30th, 2024, JP received an honorable discharge with permanent disability. But during his first VA appointment, after he received his ID, he was brought to a separate area with about 20 other vets for further processing. They were told that they were former covert operatives, and, while not required, they could volunteer for an upcoming mission, which JP did. Now, he is spilling the beans on what is happening with ongoing Special Forces operations. JP's disclosure has now been authorized by the Earth Alliance and the White Hats as part of the ongoing disclosure program. Get ready for a mind-blowing experience as we dive into JP's testimony in this video. The details he shares about secret military bases, extraterrestrial arrivals, and their covert integration into human society will completely shatter your perception of reality. This isn't just another story. It's the kind of information that will wake you up to the hidden truths unfolding right before our eyes. Brace yourself, because once you hear JP's account, you'll never look at the world the same way again. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos from the Global Spiritual Informers Connection, packed with fresh intel. Share this video to help others awaken to the truth. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out my store linked in the description or leave a super thanks using the button below. Your support means the world to me, and I'm truly grateful for any help you can offer. The atmosphere in the packed ballroom shifted dramatically as JP, the Army secret space soldier, made his entrance. The room, buzzing with anticipation, erupted into cheers as he walked slowly down the aisle, each step echoing a sense of mystery and power. Dressed in a suit, every inch of his body concealed, and his face obscured by an ominous mask, JP exuded an aura of secrecy and strength, with a subtle touch of humor that had somehow managed to survive the unimaginable things he'd witnessed. The weight of his presence was palpable, as if everyone in the room could feel the gravity of the hidden truths he carried. In that moment, the line between fiction and reality blurred, and the collective energy of the audience surged with both excitement and reverence. During his talk, JP provided an in-depth and vivid account of the secret military bases he had encountered. He described the layout, operations, and hidden technologies within these highly classified locations with remarkable detail. JP also explained the intricate intake procedures used when extraterrestrials from various civilizations arrived at these bases. He shared how advanced methods were employed to physically transform and adapt these beings, enabling them to blend seamlessly into human society without raising suspicion. This process allowed extraterrestrials to live among us undetected, highlighting the sophisticated nature of their integration. This video recounts each operation in chronological order to provide a clear and coherent narrative. My aim is to present the information as accurately as possible, ensuring that you receive the most reliable intel available. By structuring the operations this way, I hope to enhance your understanding of the sequence of events and their significance. I appreciate your support as we navigate this journey together, and I am committed to maintaining transparency, clarity, and independence in all the information shared. First, the predicate for this video. The first operation that JP described involved non-human intelligence, or DUMS, which is short for Deep Underground Military Bases. We will discuss this in a minute, but first, it's important to know that this operation was in compliance with the Artemis Accords, which are a set of international agreements established by NASA and the U.S. government in 2020 to guide cooperation in space exploration, particularly in relation to the Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the Moon and eventually explore Mars. But are these agreements just the tip of what we have already accomplished? Key principles of the Accords include peaceful exploration in accordance with international law only, transparency, open communication and information sharing among participating countries, interoperability, systems and technologies for joint missions should be compatible and interoperable. Sustainability addresses the need for responsible use of space resources and the preservation of space heritage sites, such as those from previous lunar missions. Resource extraction outlines a framework for the extraction and utilization of space resources while adhering to the principles of the Outer Space Treaty. As of now, 43 countries have signed the Artemis Accords, which aim to establish norms for the future of space exploration and ensure that it is conducted responsibly and collaboratively. These countries have been sending pilots to NHI DUMS for training with Nordic extraterrestrials right under our noses, and JP describes the operation. On May 20th, 2023, JP said he journeyed to a huge spaceport in the southeast US, but he wasn't able to disclose the location. Dr. Michael Sala figured it out as being Green Mountain near Huntsville, Alabama. I did a little digging to see if there was anything in the Green Mountain area, and lo and behold, I found Redstone Arsenal, which is a large U.S. Army post located near Huntsville, Alabama, that has played a pivotal role in American defense, missile development, and space exploration since World War II. Just south of the Redstone Arsenal Army Post is an area with locations for the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center and the FBI. Coincidentally, NASA's Artemis program is housed here, so if we look, we will find the answers under our noses. Now that we know where this occurred, let's look at JP's description. He said that he could see a light beam emanating from the mountaintop, and when he arrived, he saw many spaceships that made a loud humming noise on takeoff and landing. There were 2 openings in the mountain. JP said that this huge spaceport is overseen by Nordic extraterrestrials and contains hundreds of spacecraft. JP remembered more from his second visit to the same spaceport on April 15, 2024. He remembers that they flew into a separate entrance where they were moved into the tunnel in a bus. He remembered that he was told to keep on moving. JP remembers that his blood type was checked and his body frequency was scanned before he was allowed inside the spaceport. There were pilots from over 30 countries there being trained to fly top-secret extraterrestrial vehicles. He remembers that the pilots spoke all different languages, but that the Nordics spoke all languages and were telepathic also. According to 1950s plans by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, there was a peculiar vertical shaft in the center of the mountain to the surface. While I could find no evidence that this dome was indeed built, it is consistent with JP's memory that there was some type of structure in the center. Chapter 5. Time Travel Mission. On June 23, 2023, JP went on a mission with 5 multilingual personnel from various nations. When they arrived at their destination, they were met by Nordic extraterrestrials who were working on time travel technology. He remembered seeing one type of aquatic ET with scaly skin that was encased in a metal ball, which he very skillfully used to move around. This apparatus appeared to create the environment of his planet so that he could participate. There were 2 of them who appeared to communicate in an electro-telepathic manner similar to Neuralink, which Elon Musk is developing. JP said that he was afraid of the power of the portals, so he stayed away from them. There were 4 different-looking glass or time travel devices shaped like hemisphere tunnels, and there were 4 specific timelines that one could transport to for the purpose of studying space arcs. The 4 timelines that travelers were going to were 1550, 1940, 2050, and 2090. So these dates must have significance in our history. JP remembered humanoids coming back from these time zones dressed in clothes from the respective time periods. JP wondered why the time travel devices were programmed with those 4 years and focused quite a bit on the 1550 portal. He said that in the 1500s, Europe was openly in contact and trading with inner-Earth civilizations, and the world was on the verge of extraterrestrial disclosure as a result of massive UFO sightings over Nuremberg and Basel. The Vatican decreed that all inner-Earth entrances and tunnels be sealed on the direction of the reptilian ETs. So I can understand why it's important to understand what happened to stop disclosure in the 1550s so that we can prevent it from happening again. The evidence is discussed in the book Geheime Unterwelt, but unfortunately, it's only published in German. Chapter 6. Integration of Nordics. JP remembered other missions, specifically on January 12, 2024, when he personally met with Nordic extraterrestrials. They were wearing blush-colored uniforms, had long blonde hair, pale skin, and greeted each other with a hand sign known around the world. It was the Vulcan greeting from Star Trek. I later learned that the Shefatal hand signal is a symbolic gesture from Kabbalistic tradition, representing the flow of divine energy or blessings. It is particularly associated with divine sustenance and spiritual abundance. The hand gesture shows a configuration of fingers in a specific arrangement that aligns with the idea of channeling divine energy into the body or material world. He rode on a bus with these Nordics. Some were hot and others were cold as they drove to a location on the base that looked like a house. The Nordics went inside, and when they got back into the bus, their hair had been cut. They had new modern clothes and shoes, and they had identification and passports. They also no longer had any sort of accent in their perfect English speech. Some of them even came out with dark hair. Once readied for integration, these extraterrestrials were sent around the world to help with various aspects of disclosure. Chapter 7. Gold Stores. JP's next mission was on February 20th, 2024. He was transported on a black helicopter with gold plates to an ancient underground castle in the northeast U.S. He said that the castle looked like an Indian temple and had a lot of different languages carved in the walls. JP recalled an enormous room that was the size of about 100 ballrooms, and it was filled with gold packed in Russian and Chinese crates. This location, he said, houses 5% of the total money supply in gold, and that they can shift from fiat to gold-backed currency overnight. Chapter 8. The Stargate Hangar. The last mission that JP discussed was an experience seeing a Stargate and craft inside a massive hangar facility with very tight security on July 31st, 2024. He was asked to go on a mission to transport tools from one base to another. There were just JP, another soldier, and a driver, and they were simply carrying some sort of black boxes. They drove 35 to 40 minutes when they arrived at this huge, highly protected hangar. On arrival, they got out of the truck and started carrying these black boxes, which weighed about 120 pounds each. The hangar has an outer protection door that they had to wait outside of to pass security clearance. They were buzzed in and had to pass a clearance similar to airport security. They had to remove their shoes, clothing, and go through a metal detector. The attendants looked like security guards, but wore black uniforms with what appeared to be some sort of Space Force logo, but it was not the official Space Force chevron logo. Instead, the patch had a galaxy with stars on it. They left the tools and were escorted into another room by another security officer with the Space Force patch, and he notified them that the tools were being transported somewhere else and they were supposed to move the tools to a ship. He then led the two soldiers through a corridor towards the hangar that had about an 8-foot door. When the security agent scanned the door, it opened. JP could feel a huge wave of wind from inside, and then the tools were taken from them for loading onto the ship. The first thing they saw was a huge black ship inside the hangar, which was twice the size of a 747. He described it as being slightly bigger than a C-137 with thinner wings. The walls of the hangar were covered with a huge computer system. And towards the front of the hangar, it looked like a big plasma TV with stars and sky on it. As he moved closer, JP witnessed his first Stargate, He said he was shocked because there was so much security in this hangar. But when the Stargate portal opened, it was in plain sight where people on base could easily look inside the hangar. He did notice a big metallic door that could be closed over the portal, so he assumed that there were certain times when the portal was activated. He said that every move you made was observed, and there was a red line between the front of the plane and the portal, and they were told not to go over the line or they would be shot, regardless of rank if necessary to stop them. As they looked towards the portal, they could see a ship approaching, and the inside of the hangar pressurized and began vibrating and making a strange sound. Also, the ship in the hangar was preparing for takeoff. JP wanted to stay and see the ship take off, but his partner and driver were concerned. JP saw the wheels come up and the black ship started lighting up with bluish energy surrounding it. There was a line of helmets, and the security personnel each put a helmet on, and JP saw the ship take off vertically. They were taken back to the waiting area and heard a big boom, and they could feel the entire hangar shaking. The security guards at the Stargate, who were part of the sanctioned disclosure plan, and even though it was against standard operating procedure, they told JP that they were chosen to bring the tools and see the hangar contents. They knew who JP was, and they knew that JP would share this information. Before they left, they were forced to take an injection to go back home. The three men returned to the GOTV, or Ground Operations Transportation Vehicle, and just sat in the vehicle in silence for about 20 minutes trying to digest what they just saw. JP knows the location of this Stargate base, but for everyone's security, he can't reveal the location even though it can be seen on Google Earth. Chapter 9. Mining Mission to Saturn. Saturn is rich in resources like gold, which could be harvested for various purposes, including advanced technology or energy manipulation. Mining operations have been discussed, including using Saturn's rings or atmosphere as a resource extraction site. JP returned on Sunday to talk about a mission to Saturn that he was involved with, along with 3 other soldiers. His memory is sketchy on details for this mission, but he does recall that he went on a massive mining ship to a former Anunnaki outpost that was surrendered over to the Earth Alliance by Ea. The purpose of the mission was to mine gold. JP said that he was in the Enki division, and I had to look this up. In astronomy, the Enki division refers to a gap within Saturn's A ring. The Enki division is also the name of a covert space mission tasked with mining the resources within Saturn's rings. I did some research, and secret mining ships that travel to the rings of Saturn, specifically designed for resource extraction, have been reported. The ships are equipped with advanced technology that allows them to mine the icy particles within Saturn's rings, which contain water. The ship then converts this water into oxygen, providing a self-sustaining life support system for the crew, allowing long-term missions in deep space. During his talk on Sunday, JP described just such a vessel and displayed a drawing that he made. He recalls that the ship number was 4808 and that it was huge. He also confirmed that he traveled to one of Saturn's rings and that the ship converted water to oxygen. JP further described these massive mining ships. He said that there is no gravity in the ship and you float. He also described a transport system around the ship similar to a pneumatic tube system, but it's more of a floating to the other side than a suction. I also found references that the mining ships operating near Saturn's rings are said to bear ancient symbols, which some claim are extraterrestrial in origin. These symbols are often described as being a mix of geometric shapes, star-like formations, and inscriptions resembling ancient Earth languages such as Sumerian or Egyptian hieroglyphs. These symbols are believed to signify the ship's connection to advanced, possibly ancient, extraterrestrial civilizations that either collaborated with or influenced humanity in the distant past. These markings may serve as identifiers, designating which faction or group the ship belongs to, or they might represent an advanced form of communication or technology that humans cannot yet understand. JP confirmed this as he remembered ancient symbols at the back of the ship that meant rock. He also spoke about floating cities and floating rock. This is consistent with testimony that there is no gravity. The mined materials, including rare metals and water, are allegedly transported back to Earth or used for constructing space infrastructure. Chapter 10. Disclosure is all around. I hope that you can understand that disclosure is happening on many levels, and many thousands of people are involved. If you still think that this kind of information is fringe or conspiracy theories, you may want to read a study published by Harvard University's Human Flourishing Program, which concludes that extraterrestrials on UFOs or UAPs may be visiting friendly factions here on Earth. The study went further to suggest that these ETs are disguising themselves to blend in with humans and could be walking among us. They also concluded that stealth UAPs may involve non-human intelligence already within Earth's environment. We will be talking about these NHIs in a future video. Chapter 11. The Symbology. In closing, JP made an analogy about Orion and Artemis as in the Artemis Accord. It turns out that Orion symbolizes the deep state, a powerful network that manipulates government and societal structures from the shadows, much like Orion the Great Hunter who dominates the night sky. His influence is pervasive, seeking to maintain control over political and economic systems while suppressing transparency. In contrast, Artemis embodies the White Hats, the guardians of justice and truth, who tirelessly work to expose corruption and restore balance to the world. As the goddess of the hunt, Artemis employs her cunning and determination to confront and dismantle Orion's power, aiming to bring accountability to those who operate in secrecy. Remember that the Artemis Accords were agreements made across the world in 2020 related to space exploration. I hope that you are beginning to understand that nothing is a coincidence and everything going on is for a purpose. Everyone is always looking for comms, and they are all over the place, even in the naming of international agreements. Okay guys, I'm evacuating for Hurricane Milton, so I'll do my best to get the rest of my videos out from our trip to the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection event. Be safe if you are in one of the storm areas. We can get through these and beat them.